Good morning. Welcome to morning time. It's a little dreary outside, a little rainy, but we are still excited about this beautiful day that God has given us. It's me and Henley hanging out this morning. This is kind of what we do every morning at our house is we start our day with some morning time. So I'm going to continue reading from our first morning time live. We read a chapter from this book, The Bluebirds and Their Neighbors, and it's just a series of stories about little animals and critters that God made and about their life and how they live from their perspective. So we're on the porch right now because normally we would do morning time if it was Cedar House here on the farm because it's just a little bit of a sprinkle, but we're dealing with technology now. So anyway, Henley, turn around and tell everybody what happened in the first chapter.
The first chapter, Mr. Bluebird came and he was looking for the nesting post that he always went to, and it was gone because the old farmer that lived there had cut it down.
So we'll see what happens now. All right, the nesting post was gone. This is Mr. Bluebird meets old friends. It was a very bluebird in feeling as well as in color that sat on the leafless branch of an apple tree and stared at the spot where the nesting post had been. The nesting post was gone. There was no doubt about that. How can I tell Miss Bluebird when she arrives? He said to himself. And then he thought he might find another nesting place that would suit her if he looked around. He felt quite sure it would save a lot of worry if they built a new nest every year as Robin Red had suggested, and as Robin Red did himself, but he could not for the life of him see how they would be able to make it stay on the bare branches of a tree. That was too much for Mr. Bluebird, and besides, he knew that Miss Bluebird liked more seclusion in her home than there was in an open-topped nest. No, that would never do. Mr. Bluebird heard a clear whistle that came from the vicinity of a hedgerow, which grew along the back of the apple orchard. That's Bobby White, he said. I believe I'll just fly over and see what he has to say for himself. Perhaps he can help me. He saw Bobby sitting in the shelter of the hedgerow before Bobby knew that he was near. And what is more, Bobby had his whole family with him. You see, Bobby White is not much of a traveler. In fact, he probably never would leave his old home more than a few miles if he were not frightened away. As there was never any hunting done on the old homestead, Bobby felt that it was a safe place to stay. He liked the shelter and seclusion of the hedgerow, and he never failed to find some cracked wheat or barley or millet when the snow was deep, which Bud Smith always thoughtfully provided. Hello, everybody, chirped Mr. Bluebird from his perch on the nearest tree. Bobby White and his family whistled their surprise. Are you back this early? Asked Bobby. Truly, replied Mr. Bluebird, and right glad I am to be. But our nesting post is gone, and now I shall have to find another place. I thought you might be able to suggest something that would help me. Bobby White walked over so that he would be a little closer to Mr. Bluebird and stood on one foot while he thought. Why don't you build a nest on the ground as I do? Asked Bobby. It's no trick at all. And I have seen any number of good places in the hedgerow. I'm sure there are enough for all of us. Now Bobby looked up upon the hedgerow as his own private grounds, and Mr. Bluebird thought it was very generous of him to offer a building place.
Mama, they made a nest. See, look in the corner.
Yes, and there's a nest right up there on the other side. Henley's seen some nests on our porch. Super exciting. This is a new porch for us. Okay. Now Bobby looked upon the hedgerow as his own private grounds, and Mr. Bluebird thought it was very generous of him to offer a building place. The summer before, Bobby had invited Woodsy Thrush to build his nest anywhere he chose in the hedgerow, and Woodsy had found a place to Miss Thrush's liking in a secluded part and far enough above ground to be safe from hunting, cats, and Snoop the Weasel and other enemies. Mr. Bluebird knew that it would never do for him to follow Bobby's suggestion, much as he appreciated the offer. "You see how it is, Bobby," he said. "Your coat almost exactly matches the hedgerow. And if you don't move, your enemies are not likely to see you, whereas it is hard for me to hide. And then your babies are soon able to take care of themselves, while mine must be fed and kept in the nest until they can fly. If they were on the ground, I'm sure hunting a cat would get them." There was a tapping on a nearby apple tree, and Mr. Bluebird looked up in time to see Downy the woodpecker remove a fat grub and swallowed it. Evidently, he had heard what Mr. Bluebird had said about nest building. "Why don't you make a hole in a tree for your nest as I do?" he asked. Mr. Bluebird felt very helpless. Here was another friend offering a suggestion, but he knew that his bill was never intended to be used for wood drill. Downy believed in using his head, but he used it more for wood chisel than he did for thinking. He had pecked at trees so much that he was fairly cross-eyed. There was no use denying the fact Mr. Bluebird was getting discouraged. It seemed as if all his friends were ready to give advice, as friends usually are, and they meant well, as friends always do. But what he wanted was help. How could he build a new nest in a tree every year like Robin Red, or on the ground like Bobby White, or how could he peck a hole for one like Downy the woodpecker? Then he had an idea, and it seemed so good to him that he flew straight to the top of the rambling old barn without even thinking to thank his friends for their friendly suggestions. Miss Bluebird would be arriving one of these days, and something had to be done soon. Dun 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 dun! What's gonna happen next? I don't know. So chapter 3,
Let's read
Mr.
it.
Bluebird sees Molly Cottontail. So next week, y'all have to tune in because it's the last morning time. Although we might do one this weekend. I don't know. Who knows what tomorrow will bring? Talking about the day, do you know what yesterday was? Yesterday was definitely March 19th. But it was the first day of spring, also called the spring equinox. Isn't that so very exciting? That's where night and day were the exact same time for this part of the world. I mean, for the whole world, but it's spring for us. So isn't that so exciting? So it's spring. It is spring, which is why Miss Samantha's wearing her little sunflowers on her head. So anyway, yesterday was such a beautiful day. The sun broke out of the clouds, at least it did here where we live, and it was just a glorious, beautiful day. And today is glorious too. It's just a little different.
And colder.
If it's not thundering and lightning, you can still get out in the rain and play and build things with mud and build boats and do exciting things in nature. So anyway, before we move forward, let's all get up and we're gonna put our armor on. Are you ready to put your armor on, Henley?
No.
All right, well, even when we don't feel like putting our armor on, it's so good for us to get up each morning and put the armor of God on, because that's gonna help us stand, right? All right, so we're gonna get up. All right, so Henley, get up. We may have to stand in the rain for you to see us. It's okay. So Henley, stand up there. All right, so guys, y'all do it with this. Y'all stand up and come put your full armor of God on, okay? So here we go. They can see Henley. All right, so here we go. In all circumstances.
In all circumstances, take up the full armor of God.
That's right. That's right. And first, you're going to stand therefore, having fastened on the belt of truth.
First, then stand therefore and having fastened on the belt of truth.
That's right.
And the breastplate of righteousness.
Yes, the breastplate of righteousness. And let's do it together. And the shoes for the readiness of the gospel of peace. Yes. And what's after the gospel of peace? You know, in all circumstances, take up the shield of faith. Yep. With which you can extinguish all the flaming darts of the evil one. That's right. And take take up the helmet of
salvation!
Yes. And with the, you ready for it?
Sword of the Spirit.
Woo! Which is what? The Word of
God!
That's right. That's right. Praying at all times in the Spirit with all prayer and supplication to that end. Keep alert. Keep alert with all perseverance, making supplication for all the saints. All right, so let's alert! That's super exciting. So we're gonna pray. Okay, we've got our armor on, so we're gonna pray and ask the Lord to give us a beautiful, beautiful, strong day in the Lord. Would you like to pray? Okay, Father, I come before you and I thank you so much for this beautiful day, March 20th, that you gave us. I thank you for spring. I thank you for all the children that are watching, that aren't watching, all of our people in our communities that are enjoying life together and spending time as a family, Father. I just pray that you would be with our nation, be with our leaders, care for them, give them wisdom, give us confidence in you, but most of all, help us to love you with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength. We praise you in Jesus' name. Amen. All right.
Get out of my face.
Okay. All right. We've got some dogs over here. Okay. So I want to sing a little song to you. We've got some more reading to do, but this is a new song that I want. This is a new song that I want to teach you. Okay, Henley, I want to sing it to you too as well. This is a song I used to sing when I was little, and it's Kookaburra. It's the Kookaburra song. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but anyway, it's the Kookaburra. Okay, so we're gonna sing it. Kookaburra sits in the old gum tree, merry, merry king of the bushes he. Laugh, Kookaburra, laugh, Kookaburra gay your life must be. Kookaburra sits in the old gum tree, eating all the gumdrops he can see. Stop, Kookaburra, stop, Kookaburra, leave some there for me. Kookaburra sits in the old gum tree, counting all the monkeys he can see. Stop, Kookaburra, stop, Kookaburra, that's not a monkey, it's me. One more verse. It's such a fun song, okay? All right. Kookaburra sits in the old gum tree, sits on a rusty nail. Oh, how's it go? Kookaburra sits in the old gum tree, sitting on the rusty nail. Oh, sits on a rusty nail, gets a boo-boo in his tail. Cry, Kookaburra, oh how life can be. Okay, Miss Samantha messed up that last verse, but you know, we're not all trying to be perfect here. So anyway, this is a fun song that I'm going to sing every once in a while with you guys because I want you guys to know it because it was so much fun to sing it when I was a little kid, and so it was super fun. Okay, so let's sing our other hymns together. All right, Henley, you want to turn around and sing some hymns with us? Okay. Okay. Let's sing a joyful song. Remember our first hymn that we had this semester, which was Joyful, Joyful, We Adore Thee. Okay. Joyful, joyful, we adore thee, God of glory, Lord above. Hearts unfold like flowers before thee, open to the sun above. Melt the clouds of sin and sadness, drive the dark of doubt away. Giver of immortal gladness, fill us with the light of day. Good job, guys. So, all creatures of our God and King, lift up your voices with us sing. Alleluia, alleluia. Thou burning sun with golden beam, and silver moon with softer gleam. Oh, praise him, oh, praise him, oh, alleluia, oh, alleluia, oh, alleluia. We're going to sing the last verse, which is, let all things their Creator bless. And as we sing this, we're not singing just to sing. We're singing to worship the Lord. He is amazing. He's a creator that created everything. And we're going to ask, that we're lifting these words up to the Lord and praising him. Do you know even the rocks cry out to praise the Lord? The birds, the rain falling down, all of it is because of God. He created it, and they are worshiping God. We're worshiping God as his people, okay? Let all things their creator bless, and worship him in humbleness. Oh, praise him, oh, hallelujah. Praise, praise the Father, praise the Son, and praise the Spirit, 3 in 1. Oh, praise him, oh, praise him, oh, hallelujah, oh, hallelujah, hallelujah. Good job. And one last one is Abide with Me. And guess what? Soon it will be April and our hymn changes. And so keep practicing these and get to know them really well, and we'll get to learn a new one in April, okay? So hold on just a second. Okay, here we go. Hold on just a second, okay? Abide with me, fast falls the eventide, the darkness deepens, Lord, with me abide. When other helpers fail and comforts flee, help of the helpless, abide with me. Good job, guys, good job. Okay, so I want to know if you remember from one of our morning times earlier, if you saw it from this week, what our new character word is. If you know it, don't say it, Henley. Y'all yell it out real loud where I can hear you. I want to hear you through the video. Here we go. I think you might have been right. It was flexibility. Flexibility, backwards. Flexibility is the opposite of resistance. So Henley,
stiffability.
So Henley, you can put your hand up here, and I want you to press as hard as you can. So Henley, this is resistance. Are we being flexible with one another? No, there's resistance here. But flexibility is, woo, we're moving together fluidly, and woo, we might go this way or we might go this way. Woo, okay?
No, it's stiffability and flexibility. So stiffability is stiff as a board,
I wish you could see
and
it.
then flexibility is when you're jello.
Well, the meaning of flexibility, I'll remind you. Do you know it, Henley?
Movability, where you're like you don't always do what you want to do. You can actually, like, if you have something that somebody wants you to do, like go to a wedding, but you have something to do. You could maybe if you have a gymnastics class and you gotta go to a wedding, you could switch the time of your gymnastics class and then go to the wedding.
Okay, that's a really, really good thought, Henley. That really is. Thank you for sharing. So, it's not settling my affections on ideas or plans which could be changed by God or others. That's so cool. Okay, so that is what flexibility is not settling for my ideas or plans which could be changed by God. Please don't play with the video like that, okay? Could you go ahead and put the dogs in the barn? Sorry, we're having some dogs over here. We're gonna put them up. Okay. So, and there's a verse, just to remind you, the verse that goes with this, flexibility is set your mind on the things above, not on the things on this earth, okay? That's from Colossians 3:2, okay? So, woo! Flexibility. That's right, flexibility right there. Okay, I've got a fable to read to you guys, all right? This fable, hey, please don't play with the video. Can you please not do that? Thank you. It is, and I've got a picture to show you as I read it to you, okay?
Crab and the lobster.
The crab and the lobster. The lobster and the crab, actually, is the true name of it. Okay, I'm going to read it to you. I hope you can see the picture. Okay. On a stormy day, the crab went strolling along the beach. He was surprised to see the lobster preparing to set sail in his boat. "Lobster," said the crab, "it is foolhardy to venture out on a day like this." "Perhaps so," said the lobster, "but I love a squall at sea." "I will come with you," said the crab. "I will not let you face such danger alone." The lobster and the crab began their voyage. Soon they found themselves far from shore. Their boat was tossed and buffeted by the turbulent waters. "Crab!" shouted the lobster above the roar of the wind. "For me, the splashing of the salt spray is thrilling. The crashing of every wave takes my breath away." "Lobster, I think we are sinking," cried the crab. "Yes, of course we are sinking," said the lobster. "This old boat is full of holes. Have courage, my friend. Remember, we are both creatures of the sea." The little boat capsized and sank. "Horrors!" cried the crab. "Down we go!" shouted the lobster. The crab was shaken and upset. The lobster took him for a relaxing walk along the ocean floor. "How brave we are," said the lobster. "What a wonderful adventure we have had." The crab began to feel somewhat better, although he usually enjoyed a quieter existence. He had to admit that the day had been pleasantly out of the ordinary. And the rhyme or the tune to this fable is, even the taking of small risks will add excitement to life. So in these exciting times that we're living, I encourage all of you as a family to find some excitement and joy. I mean, kids, what if you talked your parents into having mud wars this weekend? And y'all all ran outside and got as muddy as possible. I didn't say that, Mommy and Dad. I didn't encourage that. But what if you did that, kids? Who knows what adventure you might run into? So anyway, I mean, that might be my challenge for the day or the weekend. It might be. Go get muddy. All right.
Yeah, go get
So
muddy.
we are going to
send us the picture of how muddy you get, and show whoever gets the muddiest wins.
But that means that Mr. Chad and I have to join in the fun too. Oh no!
Yeah.
Okay. So who remembers where our psalm is from that we're memorizing? Who remembers? Where is it found? Psalm
91.
Yes, Psalm 91. Okay, and we're focusing.
Verse 1.
We're focusing on verses
1,
1
2,
through 4.
4.
Verses 1 through 4. Okay.
1 through 10.
So we're gonna stand up. Okay. We're gonna stand up, and we're gonna act out this verse. So let's stand back where we can be seen. What? Oh goodness. Okay. I know. Yes. Okay. Here we go. Psalm 91.
Psalm 91. Verse 1.
Can you get where they can see you do the motions? There we go. All right, so Simon, y'all do the motions with Henley and with Miss Samantha. We're not going to start repeating until verse 3, okay? So here we go. Psalm 91. He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will abide in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say to the Lord, my refuge and fortress, my God in whom I trust. All right, so now start repeating after me, Henley. Y'all repeat with Henley, okay, so we can learn these other ones, okay? So, verse 3. For he will deliver you, so you're going to go.
For he will deliver you.
Deliver is this. So, let me do it real fast. For he will deliver you.
For he will deliver you.
From the snare of the fowler.
From the snare of the fowler.
Okay, all right. And from the deadly pestilence.
From the deadly pestilence.
Okay, he will cover you.
He will cover you
with his pinions.
With his pinions!
And under his wings, you will find refuge. All right, good job. We're going to learn that all together, I promise you. Oh, we're not done. And his faithfulness.
And his faithfulness.
Is a shield and a buckler.
Shield and a buckler.
Great job, guys. Great job. Can y'all hear Chloe? Let me see if I can move this around so y'all can see her. Y'all see Chloe?
It's the donkey right there.
Y'all see Chloe? Say good morning, Chloe. Good morning, Pinto. Good morning, Checker. Pinto, Checker, and
Charlie's the brown
Charlie.
one. Pinto's the white one. And Chloe's the brown donkey.
anyway, I am so glad that y'all got to join us this morning. It was such a great morning. It's okay. I'm not going to read it. Okay.
Man.
We love you guys. So sorry, technical difficulties. I'm going to get a good camera holder this weekend. That is my goal.
This isn't a camera holder, by the way. This is a light that just has a cage
I fixed
on it.
All right, there's a request for one more story. So I'm going to do it. Please don't bump the table, okay? That way it doesn't fall. All right, the great kapok tree. All right, we've been talking about, I was going to do that this morning. So Swiss Family Robinson, we have been reading Swiss Family Robinson, all right, as a school, the Cedar House. And it is such a great story. So if you're watching and you're not a part of the Cedar House, go read Swiss Family Robinson. Go get the downloaded version. There's so many free resources right now. Do the audio version, but it's a great story. And kids, I just wanted to remind y'all that, so think about this. We are in a time where we are needing to stay home and be with just our family. And what an adventure, because it's exactly what happened, not exactly, but because of circumstances beyond their control, Swiss Family Robinson, what happened?
They got stranded on an island.
They did, with who? Just their
family.
And so all their playmates were their sisters and brothers, or in Henley's case, his playmates is his mom and daddy. So how cool is that God brought that story into our lives, and here we are, we're needing to stay home. And they made the best of what the circumstance that they had. They were very flexible. I'm sure it was hard, but listen, they used all the resources that they could around them to create a house and to find food and shelter, and they made friends with animals. They even killed some animals so that they could have food to eat. They learned how to cook and how to bake and use the resources around them. They made boats. It was so exciting. They
made boats that they could fit on and put stuff in the boats with them.
Yes, and they discovered all sorts of new plants, new animals, new things around them in their environment. And so we're going to start giving you guys a Swiss Family Robinson challenge. So be looking for that. Either it'll be a picture on our page or it might be a video, who knows. But we're going to do a Swiss Family Robinson challenge. But one thing that Miss Megan, which a science lesson is coming soon, I think it might be here tomorrow, I don't know, who knows, but it's going to be a good science lesson. But she has been talking about different biomes, okay, and different parts of the world.
We talked about a desert biome, we talked about a river biome, we talked about an ocean biome, we also talked about a rainforest biome, and that's about all.
Well, I'm going to read you a story today about
a rainforest biome.
Mm-hmm. So super fun. All right, so here we go. It's the great kapok tree. I think I'm saying that right. Kapok tree.
Kapok tree.
Kapok. Okay. I'm going to try and show you the pictures. Two men walked into the rainforest moments before the forest had been alive with the sounds of squawking birds and howling monkeys. Now all was quiet as the creatures watched the two men and wondered why they had come. The larger man stopped and pointed to the great kapok tree. Then he left. The smaller man took the axe he carried and struck the trunk of the tree. Whack, whack, whack! The sound of the blows rang through the forest. The wood of the tree was very hard. Chop, chop, chop. The man wiped off the sweat that ran down his face and neck. Whack, chop, whack, chop. Soon the man grew tired. He sat down to rest at the foot of the great kapok tree. Before he knew it, the heat and hum of the forest had lulled him to sleep. A boa constrictor lived in the kapok tree. He slithered down its trunk to where the man was sleeping. He looked at the gash the axe had made in the tree. Then the huge snake slid very close to the man and hissed in his ear. Senor, this tree is a tree of miracles. It is my home where generations of my ancestors have lived. Do not chop it down. A bee buzzed in the sleeping man's ear. Senor, my hive is in this kapok tree, and I fly from tree to tree and flower to flower, collecting pollen. In this way, I pollinate the trees and flowers throughout the rainforest. You see, all living things depend on one another. A troop of monkeys scampered down from the canopy of the kapok tree. They chattered to the sleeping man. Senor, we have seen the ways of man. You chop down one tree, then come back for another and another. The roots of these great trees will wither and die, and there will be nothing left to hold the earth in place. When the heavy rains come, the soil will be washed away, and the forest will become a desert. A toucan, a macaw, and a cock of the rock flew down from the canopy. Senor, squawked the toucan, you must not cut down this tree. We have flown over the rainforest and seen what happens. Once you begin to chop down the trees, many people will settle on the land. They set fires to clear the underbrush, and soon the forest disappears. Where once there was life and beauty, only black and smoldering ruins remain. Is that what a toucan sounds like? A bright and small tree frog crawled along the edge of a leaf. In a squeaky voice, he piped in the man's ear. Senor, a ruined rainforest means ruined leaves, many ruined leaves, many ruined lives. You will leave many of us homeless if you chop down this great kapok tree. A jaguar had been sleeping along a branch in the middle of the tree because his spotted coat blended into the dappled light and shadows of the understory. No one had noticed him. Now he leapt down and paddled silently over the sleeping man. He growled in his ear. Senor, the kapok tree is home to many birds and animals. If you cut it down, where will I find my dinner? 4 tree porcupines swung down from the branch to branch and whispered to the man. Senor, do you know what we animals and humans need in order to live? Oxygen. And senor, do you know what trees produce? Oxygen. If you cut down the forest, you will destroy that which gives us all life. Several anteaters climbed down the kapok tree with their young clinging to their backs. The unstriped anteater said to the sleeping man, Senor, you are chopping down this tree with no thought for the future, and surely you know that what happens tomorrow depends upon what you do today. The big man tells you to chop down a beautiful tree. He does not think of his own children, who tomorrow must live in the world without trees. A 3-toed sloth had begun climbing down from the canopy when the men first appeared. Only now did she reach the ground, plodding ever so slowly over to the sleeping man. She spoke in her deep and lazy voice. Signor, how much is beauty worth? Can you live without it? If you destroy the beauty of the rainforest, on what would you feast your eyes? A child from the Yanomamo tree, Yanomamo tree. No, a child from the Yanomamo tribe who lived in the rainforest knelt over the sleeping man. He murmured in his ear, Signor, when you awake, please look upon us all with new eyes. The man awoke with a start. Before him stood the rainforest child, and all around him, staring, were the creatures who depended upon the great kapok tree. What wondrous and rare animals they were. The man looked about and saw the sun streaming through the canopy. Spots of bright light glowed like jewels amidst the dark green forest. Strange and beautiful plants seemed to dangle in the air, suspended from the great kapok tree. The man smelled the fragrant perfume of their flowers. He felt the streamy mist rising from the forest floor, but he heard no sound, for the creatures were strangely silent. The man stood and picked up his axe. He swung back his arm as though to strike the tree. Suddenly he stopped. He turned and looked at the animals and the child. He hesitated, then he dropped the axe and walked out of the rainforest. So, the author writes, Dear readers, I wrote The Great Kapok Tree to let the world know what happens to the rainforest creatures and to the entire planet when rainforests are destroyed. I hope that after reading this book, you will help save the rainforest. The Great Kapok Tree is about the Amazon rainforest, a tropical rainforest, but we have a temperate rainforest in the Pacific Northwest of the United States that we must protect too. Please care for the earth. So anyway, this book was written by Lynn Cherry. Beautiful story, all right? We love you guys. We hope that you have a wonderful weekend in the mud. Mud Wars.
Oh, no, we didn't. I said that, not my mom. I said that.
That's right. Henley, shh, be quiet. Okay, anyway, we love you guys. Have a great day. Bye.